Good evening and welcome to Your Voice, where we dive deep into issues that matter most to you and the nation. I'm your host, Apeniso Wangarandobu. Tonight, we are focusing on a pressing concern that affects us all, scams. As National Scams Awareness Week approaches, we'll explore how scammers operate, what you can do to protect yourself, and the efforts being made to fight fraud. We are joined by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Trade, SMEs and Communications, Manoa Kamikamica. Also joining us is Chief Executive of the Consumer Council of Fiji, Ms. Shima Sandil. And joining us later in the show is the United Nations Development Program Resident Representative, Ms. Tuya, to provide you with the latest insights and practical advice. Let's get started. Good evening, Minister, and as well to you, CEO. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Good morning.
So, coming up later this month, we'll have the first ever National Scam Awareness Week. So, what is the focus, and what are the objectives of the event that's coming up later this month?
Yeah, thank you. I'll start off, and then Shima can maybe add on. And the National Scam Awareness Week has really come out as a product of what the government has been seeing since it came into office, which is really an escalated or elevated activity in terms of scams and fraud. And it has happened in the past, but we felt that it wasn't getting the attention that it required. So in the first week of the school holidays, from the 26th to the 30th of August, we will be launching, I think, the first ever national awareness on scams in Fiji. And it's really an attempt to bring these issues to light, shine the torch, if you like, on the issue of scams, and actually to try and encourage the country, including the key stakeholders, to work together in terms of trying to address what is I would say, an emerging threat in terms of people's financial stability and security, and so it needs to be addressed. And the ultimate the aim of this is to also for the agencies to create laws to be able to address the scams. And so, more power perhaps to the agencies, more teeth to the legislation, so that these perpetrators will be discouraged from conducting fraudulent behavior, which, of course, in any forms is unacceptable.
CEO, from your perspective, just how important it is for us, particularly here in Fiji, to have this awareness week?
So over the years, what we have seen is that the financial impact of scams is growing, and as the minister said, a lot of people are being scammed of thousands of dollars, and that's the reason why we felt, and the National Scam Task Force, which is headed by our Honorable DPM, we saw it important that awareness needs to be raised. People need to know what exactly is happening, what type of scams are there, the techniques that is being used by the scammers. And as we know, that this increase is due to it's closely linked to the widespread adoption of the digital financial technology. And this increase in the adoption of advanced technology has also generated, whilst it has a lot of benefits for the users, but it has also generated unprecedented opportunities for scammers or fraudsters to perpetrate scams by exploiting digital payment systems and human vulnerabilities. So as I said, the scam techniques and the scam types have evolved over years. And looking at the trend, it's not only in Fiji. If you look at international, if you look at globally, scams are everywhere. And just a recent report have stated that in UK, every 7 minutes a consumer gets scammed on online platforms, because we are mostly now engaged in online platforms to do almost everything. Okay, because it has made our life convenient, and this trend has become particularly pronounced during and after COVID-19, when social interactions decreased, and there was a rapid uptake of digital financial platforms, and that is why, as more people engaged with these technologies, it opened a kind of opportunities for scammers to exploit on the vulnerables, and that is making it so crucial, because people are scammed on a daily basis. It makes it so crucial to educate the public on how to recognize and how to avoid scams. If you look at our data as well, the Consumer Council Fiji, are the recipient of complaints, and over the years we have registered significant complaints against frauds. From 2019 to date, the Consumer Council have registered 1,768 complaints against frauds, which is over $1 million. Over $3 million. So as I always say, the complaints that has been received by Consumer Council of Fiji is just a tip of the iceberg, or fraction of the people being scammed, because there are other agencies like FCCC or Fiji Police Force who also receive complaints from consumers against the scammers. And there are certain consumers who are not assertive enough to come out and speak publicly that they have been scammed, or they are embarrassed to do so. So this is just a fraction of the complaints that we have received. The problem out there is really big. People are losing, as I said, on a daily basis, a lot of cash. And if you look at the types of people who are at risk, before we used to say that they are preying on, these predators are preying on the vulnerables, but we no longer can say that. The reason being is that if you look at the eBay shop scam, it was quite huge. It had a very, it had a huge financial impact on the people of Fiji, and they targeted different segments of the population. It was students, youths, the working population, and also the elderlies. A lot of elderlies lost their lifetime retirement saving. So this is where our scammers are. They are evolving. Their techniques are evolving. They are always a step ahead of, the advanced technology. So that makes it more important to educate the consumers, because they are the ones who can safeguard themselves. Like no matter, as the minister have just alluded to, that there is a need to look at the legislation, there is a need that stakeholders can come together and develop the legislations, but it is also the responsibility of the consumers to make sure that they get educated and are able to combat scams.
Minister, to be able to carry out this event successfully, we will need stakeholders to come together. What are some agencies that have come together to be able to host the 1 week awareness event?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that we did quite early, which I think we're getting the benefit from, was we decided to form a national task force on scams, and that brought together pretty much all the stakeholders that had anything to do with this scamming. So the CIMA from the Consumer Council, FCCC, Online Service Commission, Fiji Police Force. We also have all the tech companies in there. So Digicel and Vodafone are active players, and also Reserve Bank and FIU, just to name a few. And by having that task force, we've kind of developed a working relationship from last year. And so when this awareness came together, it's not like we had to run around and solicit agencies to come and join us. It was already part of it was just a discussion as part of a wider effort to address scams in Fiji. So Seema alluded to the eBay scam. Really, the task force was the first thing we reacted to when the eBay scam came out, because we saw that it wasn't just vulnerable anymore. It was anybody that needed a quick buck,
right?
And it included some very well-known people in Fiji, and so as the scams become more sophisticated, the net gets wider, and probably that's the way the scammers are playing it. So from a national perspective, we believe we have the right participants, and of course, I mean, the largest stakeholder will be the people of Fiji, to start talking, and that's why we're having this awareness, because we want people to start talking about it, getting more aware, more attuned to, when, I keep on saying in interviews, if someone comes and says, I'll double your money, run away. That's
the first thing you do, run away.
Run away, yeah, because it is a typical signal that things don't look right. Nobody doubles their money. It's a very rare occurrence. It's not something that happens all the time. So so the stakeholders, we've been working together for almost a year now, actually over a year, and it's produced outcomes such as this national the awareness week for scams, and as part of that, like I said, there's the objective to have the legislation reviewed. So it's quite a positive development in terms of what we are trying to achieve, and I'm hoping that over time the whole country gets together and starts talking openly about this as a danger, as a menace to society, as a threat to people's livelihoods, so from that perspective, we've having created that national task force 1 year ago, we are certainly starting to see a lot of benefits, and so when it came to the National Awareness Week, was we just called the task force, and everybody. Actually, Sima came and saw me first, and then I was totally for the idea. And then we met the task force, and of course they all endorsed it. But again, it's about just elevating the awareness on a national issue, bringing attention to it, and I'm hoping that going forward that all of Fiji and start talking about this menace, and that needs to be combated.
Thank you for that, Minister. We will just take a short break. When we return, we will look into some common scams that are happening around, especially here in Fiji. Welcome back. You're watching Your Voice, and we have the Chief Executive of Consumer Council, as well Minister for Trade, SMEs and Communications, Manoa Kamikamica, with us in studio this week. And we are also talking about the National Scams Awareness Week that's coming up during the first school break of the second term of school. CEO, maybe you could just highlight some of the most common scam that's taking place in Fiji, where people are being drawn into.
Thank you, Apedisa. But before I answer that question, just to add on what Minister have said about the National Scam Awareness Week, I mean, under his support and guidance, we have been able to do this for the first time ever in Fiji. And, there are different types of activities that we are going to conduct during this week. And one will be the, getting all the different stakeholders who are involved in the financial sector to come and speak. There'll be panel discussions, there'll be workshops held, and then we'll be calling on the youths, because we feel that youths are a very important part of our population, who can take out messages and bring about changes in the society, in the mindset and the behavior changes that we want to see, right? So there'll be debates, there'll be oratory contests, and then we'll be also engaging with school kids. We have developed advocacy materials that we'll be distributing. We'll be going out to different community levels. Whilst Consumer Council, we have an ongoing advocacy effort in this area, but we are going to sort of beef up more on these activities, so that during this week it will be all about scams and just educating our people on different types of scams, different techniques and so forth. So it will be like every stakeholder, every citizens, we will try to involve every citizen so that they are aware of what scam is, because sometimes that word scam the people just listen to that word, oh, scam, somebody's being scammed, but they don't understand what scam is
what
actually.
It is really is.
Yeah, so that's why they end up losing, their hard-earned money. So going back to your question, some common types of scams are, as we have had phishing emails, phishing messages, fake online shopping websites, investment scams, as we had one last year, the eBay shop one. So here, people need to be very careful because, investments, when you invest your money, it should be to legal institutions, and investments just does not happen by clicking of the button. There's a lot of things that needs to come under. So if you are putting money somewhere, then it needs to be invested so that you can gain or benefit from those investments. There are lottery scams, there are employment scams, phone scams, and so forth. There's so many. And these scams often involve tricking people into providing personal information or just sending money. So to provide a real world example, just recently scammers were using Viber to impersonate different figures and trick people to send them money. So there are a lot of people who have been scammed by Viber. So what happens is they'll make a call, the unsolicited call through Viber, and they'll try to get some personal information which our vulnerable people tend to give out. And once they are on Viber, they are able to get information about the different families and friends that this person is having communication with, and that's how they just steal the profile picture and then start communicating with the families, friends, and also they went to the extent of communicating with the employees and asking for money. So if the DPM says, Seema, I need this money urgently, would you be please sending it to me? I will be I will send it across. I will not call and ask DPM why does he want the money. So that's exactly what happened. People did not call, and we are living in a digital age. Our current generation is so much on text and messages. They don't pick up the phone and call. So they just obliged. They thought that their directors or their bosses are asking for money. They send it across. So here what they do is they create a sense of agency. They use emotions to make people send the money across. There are certain red flags, as the minister said, people should be aware of, which is unsolicited contacts, request for personal and financial information. Somebody is calling you asking for your personal and financial information. Please don't disclose any such information over the phone. You can always say, if they're saying they're calling from a bank, what you need to say is that, okay, what I'll do is I'll come back to you guys, because you don't know who's behind the or on the other side. And they are offers too good to be true. It possibly is. And they might use urgent or threatening language, or they might send you unverified links or attachments via emails and messages. So red flags vary depending on the different type of scams that is being executed. For example, currently there is a lot rental scam going on as well. So the red flag here is, when this guy or the fraudster is trying to advertise houses for rent, right? They will make excuses. They will not want to come and meet with you in person. Okay, or what happens is they might give you excuses when you want to view the property, or the rental price is way below the market rate. You cannot rent a house for $300 in Nasese. So these are the red flags, and they might ask you to send the money urgently. So these are some of the things that people need to be aware of, and do not engage with such scamsters and protect yourself. Yeah.
On that note, Minister, maybe you could just tell us, can you provide insight into the most common types of, like Ms. Sandil had highlighted, the types of scam that's out there. What about the specific measures that government is implementing to combat scams apart from the task force that's being set up?
Yeah, one of I think the key challenges with scams, particularly, is at the end of the day, the consumer is interacting directly with the perpetrator, and so really, freedom of speech, freedom of access, the freedom to do whatever, provided it's legal. That umbrella, if you like, means that in terms of government reaching in to create preventative legislation is probably not practical. So that's why we're embarking on this awareness week, and of course, we will continue to endeavor to actually create awareness around the scams, so that ultimately we have a country and the members of the public that and Fijians that are very aware of scams. And if we can achieve that, I think that is the biggest or the best defense mechanism. Empowering our people, or giving our people information to be able to protect themselves from these unscrupulous perpetrators or people that commit scams. I mean, Zima talked about the Viber scam. I actually got a Viber from someone saying he was Sakyas Inditoka, Honorable Sakyas Inditoka, and asking for money. The tone of the language, because we're both from the province of Taileu, we address each other in a certain way. Because that was absent, I knew straight away it wasn't from
red flag right there.
Yeah. So but some of us, will, even without that acknowledgement, maybe feel sorry and go ahead. We had sort of a staff member who actually got asked by someone to send money, and she just assumed that person was legitimate. Right. Sent the money, only to get horrified that that wasn't the person. And so some of the ultimately, I think what scammers do is they pick on a person's vulnerability. And of course, for Fijians, one of our biggest vulnerabilities is we are such a kind, trusting nation. We, when somebody says, please help, you almost not even verify the information. You just jump and want to. So I think hopefully this is a national awareness week will give us pause and try and encourage us to maybe slow down a bit. Check, where are you? Can I meet you in person? Those kind of questions, rather than what's your, because like even now, I get messages from people that need funds for whatever. It's almost automatic. You don't even ask who to verify it. So yeah, so that's why the scams, the National Scam Weeks. And credit to Consumer Council is very good, because it will just make sure that we start creating awareness around this major issue. I mean, sometimes you get an email and it just says click on this, click on this, and you click on it, and before you know it, they've captured your personal information. Even on for text messages or Viber messages or WhatsApp messages. So we just have to be more aware, not be too trusting, and that way I think more than anything we can actually combat this big scourge on Fijian society, which is scams.
Thank you for that, Minister. I think the message here is to always be aware and not be too trusty while using social media particularly. On that note, we will take a short break. When we return, we will discuss further. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this evening as we talk about scams and the danger, I could say, that it poses to our people and our community. CEO, before we left, you talked about how these scammers play with people's emotions. The report that you have received from members of the public that has been a result of the National Task Force, are they similar in nature in terms of what complainants are saying? The scammers are playing with their emotions, which makes them give in to what they want?
Yes, a few complaints that poured in into the council. When we were having a discussion, we came to know, no, some of these scammers are using, excuses like somebody is sick. So, I have mistakenly sent you some money, right? This is through through the M-Pesa platform. And my wife is very sick. I'm taking my wife to the hospital. Can you immediately reverse the transaction? So what happens is when I'll hear about that or somebody is sick, mistakenly he has sent it to me, I will, without checking my balance, try to reverse the transaction. So these are some of the ways people are, scamming the people, like using the emotions and creating a sense of agency, as I said. And I don't know, Panisa, whether you are aware of it now. Scammers are using AI to voice cloning technology. So they'll give you a call, within 3 seconds they'll capture your voice and then they'll clone your voice. So if supposedly they do this to the honorable DPM, and so when the call comes to me, I will assume that it is honorable DPM because his voice has been cloned. So I will not say no. Similarly, there was a case in America where a senator was being cloned. The son's voice was being used to call him and create that emotions, like, it's a long story. Right. So he saved him from being scammed by making a call to the daughter and then the son, only to come to know that whatever was relayed to him was false. So you can see how the scammers and their techniques are constantly evolving. So that is the very reason why the people need to be informed. People need to be, abreast with the changing trends in the different types of techniques being utilized by the scammers, because they are predators. They are trying to prey on the vulnerabilities. So, that's why there are different ways how people can stay informed, and that is by following updates from consumer protection agencies. We do a lot of messages. We push a lot of messages on our social media. We do a lot of articles in newspapers and through other platforms, and so does Fiji Police Force, FCCC, and other stakeholders. If you look at the financial institution websites, they are giving notifications or they raise alerts on their website, beware of scammers, and then they list a lot of pointers as to, if you read, you'll be aware what exactly is going on there. And then you need to subscribe to alerts from financial institutions. There is a lot of community awareness programs that is going on. You need to participate in that so that you can obtain the information in regards to scams and frauds. And regularly, you need to check reliable websites for reports on scams and frauds. Like, we are living in a digital age, and the mobile phone or smartphone penetration in Fiji is really high. Okay, so, and we know that people are always on internet searching something. So you need to take a bit of time, and there's a lot of reports, as I said. Individuals have done researchers, institutions, different organizations have done a lot of researches and surveys on scams and frauds, and they very clearly in their reports state what are different types of scams, what are the red flags, what are the techniques, and they also come up with recommendations as to how you can save yourself, and also talk about the recent trends in scams. So if you go and spend a little bit of time reading, you will definitely stay abreast with the trend, the current trend. And we know that in Fiji a lot of people can read and write. The literacy rate is very high. So this is how they can stay informed. And the most foolproof method is to recognize the red flags and the telltale sign of scams. And since scams, as I said, is constantly evolving, the best defense is to equip oneself with the right tools and digital literacy skills. And you might have heard that a lot of financial institutions go about doing digital financial literacy programs, including Consumer Council of Fiji, FCCC, and even with the ministry, they have so many programs, where they go out and try to develop the digital financial skills, so that people are, equipped with the right knowledge, equipped with the right resources to fight. First, they need to identify scam. So these knowledge will help them to identify scams, spot suspicious activities, understand the common scam techniques, and take proactive measures, not only to protect themselves, but also protect their friends, families, and the communities communities as well. And there are some best practices, like that includes when you go and log into something, right, into a website, or you want to use an online digital payment platform, so you are asked to create a password. So it's very important that you create a unique and strong passwords. Also, you must have heard about two-factor authentication, which is sort of additional security that you can you can have in addition to the standard password. This will protect you even if the scammer is able to get your standard password. They will not be able to hack into your account because they will not know about the two-factor authentication, because it is providing you with an extra layer of protection. And individual needs to be wary of the unsolicited emails, messages, and as Minister has said, you have to be very careful which links to click on and which links not to click on, because what we have seen is a lot of phishing emails are being sent, and like for example, there was a scam going on recently where the sender was imitating to be the post office, and he was sending to the recipient that there's a parcel awaiting collection and they need to click on a link to give further details. So when the consumers or the people were clicking on the link, it was taking them to a website which was asking them to provide more personal information. And what this can lead to is this personal information can be utilized in the wrong way, and then your accounts can be hacked. So you have to be very careful with whom you are sharing your personal information or your financial information, because people have lost their lifetime savings to scammers.
It will be a very important week for the capital as well, given that it will be hibiscus the week after, and more people usually would come from the rural and maritime communities to the main city. Is this where the hub of the awareness will be carried out?
Yes, in Suva, but we are not going to leave other divisions. So we will have teams in Lautoka and also in Vanua Levu to make sure that they also concurrently carry out all these activities that is planned for the National Scam Awareness Week.
Thank you for that.
And we also want, Apanisa, since we are on air, we also want the media to take active role in this, because you are very important in disseminating this information to the public, because you have a wider outreach. People love to see TV, they love to hear, listen to radios, and different segments of the people, listen to different types of, like they are on radio, some may be on air. So as I said, you people play a very important or vital role. Please help us in during the National Scam Awareness Week.
Thank you for that. And yes, we will definitely do our part and try to be more active, particularly during that week, not only for that week, but going forward, given that the number of people that has been drawn towards scams is skyrocketing. And the past few years, we've seen people losing their hard-earned income for that matter. Minister and CEO, we will take a short break. I believe that following this break, the representative from the United Nations Development Program will be joining us. So thank you, CEO, for joining us on these first three segments. On that note, we will take a short break. When we return, we will continue discussion. Welcome back. You're watching Your Voice, and we are here with joining us in studio is Deputy Prime Minister Manoa Kamikamica, as well the UN resident representative Munkhtuya. Munkhtuya, thank you so much for joining us on this special episode as we gear up for the first ever National Scams Awareness Week. Just how important it is for the UN to be supporting Fiji's National Scams Awareness Week for this year?
Thank you so much. It's a great honor for me to be here representing two organizations, actually, the United Nations Development Program and the United Nations Capital Development Fund. So really, it's a very important week, and I really congratulate the leadership of Deputy Prime Minister and also all of the involved stakeholders to be having this awareness campaign. Of course, awareness campaigns should be happening on a daily basis, 365 days, because I guess scammers are not, sleeping. They are active at all hours, and so I think it is really important to kickstart this awareness campaign in Fiji. And I've been here for only a year now, covering the 10 Pacific countries. But I quickly learned that whatever is happening in Fiji really spreads to all
Across
the
the
other
region.
Pacific countries. So I think this is really, really important initiative indeed. So we have a Pacific Digital Economy Program. It's been under implementation since COVID times, since 2021. And it really does take a whole of society, but also a whole of partnerships. So I'm very, very grateful to mention that Australia, New Zealand, and European Union are our steadfast funders and supporters of this very, very important program. So through this program, we are supporting the National Scam Awareness Week. And it's been already said during the first couple of segments that it's really becoming a very complicated issue, and it doesn't just involve one party, but involves the whole of society. So that is why the United Nations is here, because it is not just a Fiji problem, it's actually a global phenomenon, and it's happening in the UK, it's happening in Fiji, it's happening all around the world. So that's why we also need to have global, but also as well as national regulatory frameworks which are really looking at this issue in a very serious way, because scam is crime. So we really need to ensure that it is treated as crime, and that there is very strong deterrence mechanisms so that scammers would think maybe twice, not maybe just once, but twice or three times before they actually commit such a serious crime against citizens.
So it takes coordinated efforts to be able to prevent it from continuing or going on further. On that note, Minister, what strategic direction is the government taking in terms of promoting digital literacy within Fiji?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, one of the things that's probably a strength in terms of the country is, because the penetration of the mobile network and information systems is quite, let's say, significant in Fiji. It means that government doesn't have to take the lead in all the time. So the various agencies that we work with, the banks, the Reserve Bank, already actually talking a lot about the issues surrounding scams and other issues. Like I said, tactically for government, as soon as we got in, we had the eBay scam, and we felt at the time that one of the best things to do was to create a national task force, because we felt that we just needed to coordinate better, there wasn't actually a body per se that was looking at scams.
Right.
Possibly an outcome of all of this will be the creation of an agency. We'll see how we go, but certainly, just the virtue that we created that task force has really helped create some visibility. We're now actually, I think it was reported in the papers that the police have charged and I think taken to court 3 scammers already. And that's a positive, because that's probably the missing piece in this whole equation. Deterrence is good, but also punitive measures need to be up there to allow, as Excellency said, to not only force the perpetrators to think once or twice, but a couple of times after that, and perhaps stop the behavior altogether.
Minister, so we've taken the first step by setting up the National Task Force. What about new policies? Are there plans to have new policies or give new powers to authorities?
So as part of the assistance that's coming from the UN agencies, the idea is to actually look at this in a broader fashion as well. So the awareness is one strategy, The other is to look at the legislation that I had mentioned, and also policies if required, which probably will end up needing to filter into legislation. But one thing I can certainly say is the legislation as it currently stands is probably not robust enough, and the key, one of the key outcomes from the task force, which when we set up, was to eventually get the legislation set up correctly, and so with the help of the UN agencies, we will actually be able to actually get to that point, within probably the course of this year, and table in Parliament as soon as that's ready. But for example, if a scam is currently happening, no agency can do anything, even the police. It's until it's reported as a complaint, then the mechanisms of government start, the agencies. And because of the nature of scams, you need to be preemptive. So as soon as it's identified, that's when if you like, the intervention takes place, rather than waiting till it's the communities were lost a couple of million, and there's thousands involved, and then we're just chasing our tail in terms of then trying to catch or recover the funds that have been lost. So that's probably one key area that I think, if you're able to strengthen that area, certainly from a government perspective, that will be very good. And also we've sort of been toying with the idea of a separate agency. But we do have some agencies that are available already. Perhaps we just need to bolt on that as an additional function to one of the agencies. So that's but certainly it's getting the elevated attention as a national issue, and it's certainly getting the attention, hopefully through the National Awareness Week. We can actually reach as many people as possible in order to just combat, as Excellency pointed out, it's a crime. That's probably the simplest way to explain it. We're dealing with a crime that's happening at a global level, and Fiji needs to do its part to protect its citizens.
Thank you for that, DPM. And on that note, we will take a short break. When we return, we will continue discussion. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on this special episode of Your Voice. We have the United Nations Development Program Resident Representative, Ms. Tuya, with us in the studio, who just joined us from the last segment. And DPM Manoa Kamikamica is also with us, discussing the National Scams Awareness Week that's coming up during the first school break of the second term of school break. On that note, Ms. Tuya, maybe you could just tell us, we understand that the Pacific digital economy is heavily providing support for the Scams Awareness Week. What agencies are involved, and what has been the impact so far?
So thank you so very much. So the Pacific Digital Economy Program, it started in 2019, 2021, especially during the COVID period, and it has been a very timely, I would say, program, because of course during COVID many services had to be online. So this is exactly the time when we started working together with the three development actors, so Australia, New Zealand, and the European Union, and the three agencies, three UN agencies: United Nations Development Program, UNCTAD, which is a trade aid agency, as well as the UN Capital Development Fund. So these 3 or 6 actually actors, we provided much needed resources, so about 22 million USD, to support all kinds of initiatives when it comes to the digital economic front. So, of course, reaching out to small and medium enterprises to ensure that they also have that digital savviness, but also putting their businesses on digital platforms. And from the regulatory side, looking at the variety of legislations that exist and making sense of them, and trying to see where are the key gaps that exist, and then to introduce a new generation of laws that can, of course, protect the consumers, the businesses, but also deter, consumers and businesses from scams and, criminal activities from happening. We also provided support to the potential or already existing labor migrants. As I understand that in the Pacific, there is a lot of labor, mobility schemes happening, and so before they actually leave the shores of Fiji and other Pacific countries, they have some level of training and understanding that their hard-earned resources and money can also be safe and also securely transferred back to their own families. So having these type of initial introductory programs on online safety, but also digital literacy is really, really important during this day and age. So this program really tries to provide that comprehensive support, but also reaching out to our remote and rural and maritime communities, because while maybe the internet connectivity may be not so fast, but still they can fall victims to scamming activities, as we have been learning during this important episode.
Thank you for that, Mr. Minister. Just from the eBay scam that happened a few years back, we understand that the business that was running this scam was a legally registered business in Fiji. What is the government doing to fill that gap and avoid such scammers from going into it and exposing it?
Yeah, in the I guess let's put it this way. Perhaps the reason it was normally when you go and set up a company, you normally say what the purpose is. But that it doesn't. You only get red lights if it's a sort of a company that's probably going to do something illegal or something that's of concern to the community. So in this case, they set up the company, complied with all the laws, but beyond that, they obviously they were able to perpetrate the scams. So as part of this holistic review, we are how to manage scammers when they on the entry point is certainly something that we are looking at. How they were able to circulate so much money in the digital economy and the banking system without any alarm bells going on is also something that's of concern. I think as you probably noticed that just recently the Reserve Bank has actually created more rigorous reporting requirements for all the mobile service providers that have digital wallets. And I would suggest that a lot of that probably had to do with the eBay scam as well, because there was funds flowing, around everywhere. People like in terms of this particular eBay scam, they had multiple phone numbers going where people were sending money to, and so what the Reserve Bank is now doing is, I think you'll only be able to get 2 numbers, for those of you that have multiple M-Pesa accounts and MyCash accounts, that will become a thing of the past, and you will just have just like a bank account. You have 1 or 2. You don't have multiple, because that suggests sort of unusual activity. And so, there were some triggers probably already around that could have probably elevated the concerns. So there's obviously some measures that are now in place that will kind of narrow the, or at least, sort of react or address some of the issues. Because I was quite surprised that there was quite a significant. I'm asking the FIU to release the final report on the money that was circulated
during that period.
and it's quite staggering. It's a substantial amount, right? But I don't want to say what the amount is until it comes as an official press release. But the amount of funds that was circulating at the time was quite significant. It was some of it even went out of the country apparently. So so all of that is currently under. I think the Reserve Bank has taken some action out of the eBay scam. So going forward, I am hoping that once the legislation is looked at, and we establish whether there's a need for a separate agency or functions to be attached to one of the existing agencies, that we have a more holistic approach to how we deal with scams. Right now we're just reacting, but the great thing I think was the government reacted early when the first big scam came. And now we're seeing, the outcomes and, what we're trying to do to try and address it as a country. And so, deeply grateful to the UN for its assistance. We certainly appreciate the support because, it just means that, as a government, we're working with partners. We can actually make sort of a difference in terms of what we're trying to do, particularly in the digital space, with the scams being what they are.
Minister, going forward, so we can expect Fiji to adopt some of the practical measures that are being adopted in bigger countries like the US, Canada.
Yes.
Because they've obviously seen bigger scams than we have seen here, but as a small country, we are vulnerable to that. On that note, Minister, maybe just a final message to consumers and Fijians as we gear up for the National Scams Awareness Week.
Yeah, thank you once again. Thank you to Excellency for coming in today, and we deeply appreciate the assistance been given, and to the people of Fiji, the awareness week starts from the 26th to the 30th of August. It is during the first week of the school holidays, and it's an opportunity for us to really shine the torch on what is a national concern, and hopefully out of that we produce outcomes that can actually change laws, create more awareness. Because ultimately I think the first line of defense is each and every one of us, and if we have a country that's more aware, that's more attuned to these scams, we will set ourselves on the right path, because things will only get worse, I suspect, because of the level of digitization happening globally, and that will transfer to Fiji, no doubt. And so, I encourage everyone, particularly your children, to participate in this National Awareness Week. It won't only be in Suva, but also be in the West and also in the North. And we look forward as a government that listens, that is hearing what's happening on the ground, and then tries to do things, that we can all work together to address this national issue. And ensure that we are protected, our people are protected, and are more aware, so that we don't see some of the horrific scams that we've seen recently in Fiji.
Thank you for that, DPM. Your Excellency, any last words that you might have?
Thank you so much. I would like to underline two issues. Perhaps is that the first one is being more proactive, as His Excellency has mentioned. So being proactive means that you have also strong education on digital literacy, starting from very, very early childhood ages, because already, small children are using tablets and such, and smartphones. So integrating digital literacy into national curriculum is very, very essential nowadays, and this program is also contributing towards that. So that's part of being proactive, and also, of course, having awareness weeks and outreach and advocacy campaigns is also being part of, proactive, support. But there is also that reactive part in which when those scams happen and that they are treated as crimes, but also the severity of punishment also has to be outlined, because if millions and millions of dollars are being lost to scammers and entire livelihoods being destroyed, then those really should be treated commensurately, I think. And so that's being reactive. And lastly, I just learned recently that when a victim, tries to lodge complaints, then that person has to, or a group of persons have to go to many, many different, organizations to try to get justice. And justice, with victims of, say, gender-based violence, a victim just gets really tired at the end of the day, and then by step 4, that person may give up and then just say, this is just too much trouble for me, I'm just gonna, think that this is, losses, whatever, and then stop. And that is what actually probably the scammers are wanting to happen, because
they know that.
Yeah, just don't, it's too cumbersome, forget about it, and so on, right? But that's why having a one body, as His Excellency has mentioned, or having a one-stop shop, because really it takes a number of agencies to still provide that support, it would be really, really important. So a person goes to that one-stop shop, and then behind the scenes, back offices are providing various support and also helping identify, the cases and so on. So that's something that I just wanted to add, that let's make it simple, for victims to report these type of crimes, but also get justice, because it's very important to receive justice, but also having that proactivity in which, our children, our grandmothers, grandparents, they also, have that basic information and power and knowledge to stop the scammers and to detect them early on.
Thank you for that, ma'am, and thank you for raising those very, very important points. And I'm sure government is taking very proactive, a lot of proactive measures to address the issue of scams that we are facing here as a nation. Once again, thank you, DPM. Thank you, Your Excellency, for coming on to the show. As well, big thank you to the CEO of Consumer Council, Mrs. Shima Sandil, who was here earlier on. Thank you for joining us on Your Voice as we shed light on the critical issue of scams during National Scams Awareness Week. We've heard from key experts about how to protect ourselves, the evolving nature of scams, and the collective efforts to combat fraud. Remember, staying informed and vigilant is your best defense. If you suspect you've been targeted or want to learn more, don't hesitate to reach out to the resources discussed today. Stay safe, stay aware, and continue to use your voice to make a difference. Until next time, Manoa Kamikamica, good night.